Hello and welcome back to the Ultimate Sports Show. I'm your host this evening, joined by my friend Steven as well, also the newest member of the Ultimate Sports Show. Again, Steven, good to have you back, guys. It's great to be back. It's been too long. Obviously, things happen, and we're back on it here. So we are doing a special edition show for everybody tonight because we love baseball and you love football. Like, why not put them together? So let's get into it here. A lot to talk about as well. We're gonna start with baseball first. Obviously, it's approaching the last 9 games left. Um, I think where we could start at least was the second half. Obviously after the trade deadline. I feel like Steven, who do you think? Obviously, trade deadline happened. A lot of moves were made. A lot of rumors, obviously related to the Padres, obviously the Dodgers, and San Francisco as well.
Yeah.
A lot of other teams were making moves, and also people were dumping players to look to rebuild their teams as well. Who is your biggest surprise? Who's been your biggest surprise of the moves that have been impactful via the trade deadline?
Um, I mean, it depends. I think that, obviously the White Sox, they made a couple moves. They acquired Craig Kimbrell. And so, I think that they've fallen off a little bit, but I think that that's going to help them in the postseason. Although, for me, the biggest surprise and the biggest winner of the trade deadline was the Dodgers. I mean, it wasn't just the big names. Like, I mean, they basically, they made some smaller moves too. They got rid of some minor league guys. They moved some farm players. It's all in all, I think the Dodgers are going to, they came out of it with the best record following the trade deadline. I don't know. What about you? Who do you think won?
I mean, I feel like I honestly feel like I think the Dodgers and the Giants won, and we're gonna obviously
Yeah.
get into it. Obviously, you get a tremendous pitcher in the name of Max Scherzer, and you have him joined by other dominant pitchers as well, Clayton Kershaw as well, Walker Bueller, Julio Urias. I feel like their rotations, obviously, they have a great rotation. They were hit with injuries as well, along with the Padres. A lot of injuries this year, and I feel like that's been impactful. I feel like honestly, a lot of people were surprised with how things have been. That it's a long season. Baseball is by far the longest. The amount of games that they're playing. A lot of
Yeah.
games, sometimes you're playing 6 games in a row. It's just the luck of the draw, and it's unfortunately how the season goes. So I think honestly the Dodgers really pulled the trigger here. Props to Andrew Friedman as well as the front office
Yeah.
there, and honestly the Giants too. I mean they went out, got some guys, very talented pitching staff right there that they got that helped them get a lot of depth in their lineup and their rotation as well. But obviously, let's get into that here because I mean,
Yeah.
look, Dodgers and the Giants. There's 9 games left. That division's up in the air. I mean,
Big time.
look, the Dodgers unfortunately have been on the cause of, where they've had their winning moments, but the Giants, man, they just can't lose.
They
This
can't.
team, this team, like their team is absolutely incredible this year, and I give them a lot of credit. Farhan Zaidi, I know he used to be in charge of the Dodgers operation as well. He's done a terrific job with managing that team, how he's been organizing the day-to-day operations of it. What's your take on it? I mean, I think it's going to come down to the last week of the season.
Yeah, big time. There's definitely so. I mean, well, the way I look at the schedule, right? They have three series left.
Yeah.
So they have a series against Colorado, Arizona, and then my Padres. Okay. If I'm looking at the Giants objectively, maybe they lose three of those last nine. So, it's for me. They're gonna attack six more wins onto an incredible season. I think what's so incredible about the Giants is the ebbs and flows of that organization. I mean, they'll go from winning a World Series to being, out of the playoffs the next year, and then they're right back in the World Series conversation the next year. I mean, it's incredibly, I think it's a testament to the grind of the MLB season, because I think a lot of teams, you just put so much into a postseason run, you're just burnt out to play the next season. So they just need a rest year, and then they're going to bounce back. And I mean, I do like a lot of the moves the franchise has made too. I think, when it comes just the postseason or the trade deadline move to get Chris Bryant, it's one of those things where it's like the rich just keep on getting richer, and I think that's the respect I have for them. Now, I just want to say the last games of the season for the Dodgers, a little bit more exciting, but again, it's a series against Arizona, my Padres, and then the Brewers. I don't see the standings changing too much here. Like I see 6 wins on both of these teams' schedules. Oh, my camera's freaking out again.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the end of the day here, I think obviously that this is, I think it's really honestly going to come down to the last week. I think it might even come down to the last few games. Obviously, somebody has to clinch. I mean, it's going to happen, like, no matter what. But, I think it's just both teams are just, I think they're on a mission right now. Obviously, the unfortunate part is it's been, okay, the Dodgers are 2 games back. Dodgers are 1 game back. San Francisco, obviously just finished up a series with your Padres. And, that series, I mean, you think, okay, just like we were talking about earlier too, is, thinking, okay, people want to help out the LA community here, do something for do something for that. But, it's just not the case, and it's baseball though. I mean, games go a long way. It's a long game. Obviously, both teams have been playing 10-inning games. Both sides just finished up big series. And I really think it's just going to come down to the last week, and that's when you're going to know. I mean, either way, both teams are going into the postseason. Yeah. It'd be fun. I mean, honestly, it'll be fun to see them compete if that's the case, which it seems like it will be in the postseason, to just go out there and battle. I mean, what more can you get for that as well? But speaking of the Padres, and I know how much that's your team right there. Let's talk about the Padres this year. So obviously 77-75 on the year. Expectations for the Padres. Obviously, heck, we were talking too, is saying, look, I thought easily the Padres were going to come out there as a 90-win team this year. They were playing terrific. They were healthy. They were doing everything right. Blake Snell was being Blake Snell for you guys. You guys were doing great. And then just all of a sudden, it's, what do you think happened? Do you think just the injuries in that case? Do you think it was the injuries? Do you think it's mismanaging? What's your takes on how they've been handling the rest of the season?
I mean, I think the problem that the Padres have every single year is when you spend a lot of money on, star players, you don't have the depth to get through those, late to middle of the season games. So you go through, the stretch during the summer of June, July, and August, where the pitching just, we weren't able to pitch to anybody. We dealt with injuries. I think the issue for the Padres moving forward is who do you rely on? Is that Tatis to just power through and get you, motivate the team in that sort of stretch run leading up to the postseason? Because that's where I think I've always differentiated any, a good team from a fringe playoff team to just somebody that's not contending at all. It's, if they have star power, can they carry them? If not, is it a pitching staff that's just insane? Like I'm looking at the Padres right now. They haven't had a pitching staff consistently healthy all year long. Like, everyone focused on the Tatis injury. Like, Blake Snell was injured, Paddock, who, what's going on there. And then it's like, Yu Darvish, he barely, if he's on, but he dealt with injuries too. I just think, really, I guess what I'm harping on is pitching. I was so frustrated with the pitching this year. It was supposed to be, that was their focus in the offseason. I think they're going to have to focus on it again. I don't know. I see we're at least two years away from doing anything.
2 years away?
I think so.
I
Although
honestly think,
I'm harsh on him. I
yeah. Well, hey, you're allowed to be though. That's the beauty of being a fan of the game. Period. Is just saying like they have expectations. The Padres had expectations. Obviously, we know they were calling themselves Slam Diego this year. They were
oh
hitting a
yeah,
ton of home runs. I think
last
they were actually at one point they actually had beaten the Dodgers out of the most home runs they've hit, and that's actually been something that they've been
oh
holding
yeah,
on to for a while. So,
yeah,
I think I don't think honestly it's going to take 2 years. I really think next year. Now we'll see where things are next year, right around this time of the year.
yeah.
I really honestly think it could be a three-way race.
Hmm.
We'll save this definitely to say we'll see where things are, but I honestly think if the Padres really stay healthy as well, and they keep the foundations as well. Obviously, there's been some confrontations with Machado and Tatis. We don't know much about that. We just know, look, it's about how you handle yourself. And obviously, it didn't show their representation very well. We don't know exactly what happened, but I just feel like if they keep the talents around them, and I think that's been the problem for the Padres is they have such a great talented team, and then they're too worried about going to get another guy, like you were telling me earlier, Stu. They're too worried about getting the guy that just finished the postseason to hit out of his mind, and
Yeah.
then instead of worrying about the guys they have there, they don't really need. I don't think they really need another big superstar on that team. I think honestly, it just comes down to the health. I think if they get
Oh, yeah.
healthy 100%, no injuries at all, no injuries, and high expectations. And I think it's just about getting the easy hits. They're too worried. They're too worried about being a free swinger. Too worried
Yeah.
about hitting the home runs. I think if they turn their identity around, I think they'll have a better identity looking forward to next season. But
Yeah.
definitely, I think that they could turn it around.
I
Absolutely.
hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so. Because I really want to see them in the playoffs again. But yeah, we'll see. I think it's consistency. That's the one thing I appreciate so much about baseball is
Yeah.
it's that war of attrition to get through that long season. It's not easy for any teams that are consistent. Like it's crazy in the same division to have the two best teams in baseball, but
Yeah.
it's nuts.
So, we got to get into it here. Obviously, the wild card starts Tuesday the 5th. It's the
Yeah,
American League Wild Card Series, and then Wednesday the 6th is the National League Wild Card Series. You got to talk about the American League. I mean, in general, obviously, we've the American League's been crazy this year. Obviously, we can mention. I mean, we're going to get more into it tomorrow as well. But obviously, there's so many scenarios that can happen for both sides. Obviously, the teams that are impacted in the American League as well as the National League. Obviously, National League. Let's start with the National League as well. St. Louis is obviously playing out of their mind right now. I think they've won 12 in a row or something like that. Um, I mean, if anybody told us that the Cardinals were going to be this good right now and just absolutely cannot lose and literally absolutely fighting for their life to make sure they're in the postseason where they were versus back in August, I think all of baseball, any baseball fan would be shocked.
big time. I don't. I thought honestly they were the fourth best team in the division, and the fact that they can't lose right now. Plus,
Yeah.
you look at just the fact that, I mean, obviously, I don't know, even, yeah, 3 games ahead of anybody else that's close.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to make the playoffs. We'll see. I hope they do.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, with that, it's I think everything's really going to come down to who's going to keep showing up. I think obviously Dodgers are leading that way. St. Louis is right behind them. It's Philly is right below them as well. They're 4.5. I think they're literally a few games right behind St. Louis as well. I think it's gonna say a lot how the last week of the season is gonna be. I think we're gonna have a better picture of it for the National League.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Well, I just wanted to look here. I want to look at the Phillies schedule because
Yeah.
yeah, let's see here. So they play they play home against Pittsburgh 3 games, then they go to Atlanta, then they play Miami. So they're 4 games back on
Yeah.
so on St. Louis. I don't know. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say I'd like to see St. Louis in there, but I think the Phillies pull it out. To me, that their remaining schedule is too easy. I don't know what the Cardinals looks like, but I definitely would like to see. Obviously, one of these teams is going to make it, but yeah, I mean, St. Louis, they play Chicago 6 out of their last 9, so we'll see. I don't know. What about you? Who do you think in the National League was your biggest surprise outside of these wild card teams? Was there a team that was just bad that you didn't see coming?
I mean, I hate to mention it right now, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
related to the jersey that's hanging right behind
yeah,
me. But
yeah,
honestly, I really honestly believed, I
yeah.
really did believe San Diego was going to be involved in this. I really thought
I
they
did.
were going to be right behind them and take that spot from St. Louis. I thought literally it was going to be Dodgers, Giants, Padres, and it was just going to be the most incredible
Yeah,
series that you can ask for because I think we all did. I mean, I think it's fair to say, even no matter what you're a fan of, if you like the Giants, if you don't like them, if you like the Padres and you don't, I think I honestly think that's the toughest right now within the National League. I think it was just, the way that things turned out. I mean, not everything in sports is always going to turn out the way it's supposed to be. Honestly, my biggest surprise was seeing what happened with the Padres. I didn't expect. Obviously, Cincinnati's kind of hanging around there. Colorado, I didn't. Colorado, honestly, I didn't think. I mean, I knew that they had been trading away some of their pieces. Obviously, Arenado, when he got traded as well, I was kind of shocked because there's some guys that you think, like a
yeah,
Charlie Blackmon, that you think, all right, this guy is gonna finish his career here. I mean, he is their
yeah,
bread and butter here, and then Colorado's trading him away, and then all of a sudden you see the Nationals trading their guys away, like Trey Turner and Scherzer and all the other guys. They're dumping everything, and you know
that was
what?
my biggest surprise.
Yeah, I honestly thought the Nationals were going to be around as well. I mean, look, they were in the postseason again, and they just absolutely just says, nope, we're gonna go to rebuild, and we're gonna let our players move on. So that was probably my biggest surprise. Let's get in the American League though.
Yeah,
Obviously, Boston, typically all Boston teams, I feel like just step it up when it comes to the postseason.
exactly.
88 and 65 for the Red Sox this year. Yankees are right behind them in that second spot, right there at 86 and 67. And Toronto, man, I mean, we could sit there and talk. We could sit here and talk about Toronto for a while because they're playing incredible baseball right now. 85 and 68 on the year in the one game back. Um, that's just such a big race right now. I mean, the American
Yeah,
League is
that's
so
great.
tough right there. Just those four teams right there are just climbing, are just, you got to just stay alive, and that's, I think, the biggest thing this year.
Well, looking at the American League, I
Yeah.
I was super high on Chicago. I thought Chicago,
Yeah.
like, far and away best team in the AL. And now it's like, okay, is Tampa for real? I'm not sure. All I can say is I guarantee the ALCS is going to involve the Houston Astros. I've seen enough. Like, I think they're going. I got to be honest. Like any other team in that, like any other team in the American League, I don't want to. I got no conviction about. Like, let's just put it that way. I have no idea, but I think Houston's for real.
Yeah, I think, I just, I hate to say it honestly, and I could speak for, I think, everyone that absolutely has lost all disrespect for the organization, as we
Yeah,
don't need to know why. Everybody knows why,
yeah,
but I honestly feel like they just, like, they're still that dominant team, and obviously I will say, they're doing it the right way now. I think that everything's been lesson learned there. At least you hope.
yeah,
But obviously, I think they've just been playing. They've really not taken a step back. I feel like even after their last World Series appearance, still they've always kind of stuck around as well. The 60-game season as well. And honestly, people were telling me too. They says, could you see a Dodgers? Could you potentially see a Dodgers Astros rematch of the 2017 World Series? And I says, absolutely.
I
I
think
said,
so.
absolutely. I said, but involves, obviously a lot of things to happen because this postseason is not going to be easy whatsoever. There's going to be a lot of a lot of tough teams to face. Obviously, the biggest thing is the fans back in the stands. Everybody plays back in their parks. There's no worried about having reduced capacity.
Yeah.
Everything's full house. I think that's what makes baseball the greatest. Is you got your home fans there making as much noise as you can, and then you go on the road and it's tough. I get it. Like, you could literally hear how loud some of these fans are purposely trying to get the players' attention out of it, and that's what I love. I think that's, if anything's taught us anything about within the last year, is how much the fans are involved in sports. And I think that's been one of the biggest things that have been missing. And it's just going to be so nice to see everybody in their stadium still rocking the houses there, and that postseason vibe, just something extra when it hits the October vibes.
Big time. I 100% agree. I think it's across all sports, but especially baseball.
Yeah.
Like, postseason baseball without fans, it's not right.
No. So, we're going to get more into it, though, for baseball as well. We will be doing a preview of the postseason, the National League Division Series, the American League Division Series, the CS, and for both sides, and obviously our World Series predictions. There will be that coming out soon as well when we wrap up the regular season for baseball. Stay tuned for those dates to be announced. Now let's switch gears because, we all love a little football here. I mean, let's be honest here. NFL just finishing up week 2. So we're getting into week 3 here. Let's go with our division previews here because we have, obviously it's going to be tough. Everybody's already penciled around how tough the NFC West is. I mean, that's a known given here. But let's go back and forth here because we're going to talk about both sides here. So, Steven, let's go with the AFC West as well. Okay. Fire away, man. What do you got?
It's kind of a no-brainer here. I think Kansas City is going to run away with the AFC West. I know they lost last week. They lost to Lamar Jackson playing like MVP Lamar Jackson. So I'm not overreacting to that. I think Kansas City is going to easily win the AFC West.
All right. NFC West, I got the Rams, honestly. I think not just because I'm in California. I honestly think, and in Southern California. But not just because of that. I really just think the Rams this year are on a mission. I think they are just focused and locked in to what they want to do and what the talent they have, even though they are a little banged up. I got the Rams win the NFC West. What do you got for the AFC South?
Okay, the AFC South, to me, I can see it going either way. I just don't trust Carson Wentz, so I'm gonna stick with the Tennessee Titans for now. Week 1 was insane. I think they gave up 6 sacks to Arizona, but we'll see. Derrick Henry is on another level. I think he maybe has 1 or 2 more years just being the last person we saw like this was Adrian Peterson, where it was like, okay, they're gonna run the ball 2 downs every single series, every single play. I think Tennessee's a good pick for the AFC South, but I wouldn't be surprised if Indy, pulls it out.
Yeah. NFC South, I mean, is it pretty obvious who everybody's going to circle?
Yeah.
any team that, unfortunately, any team that's got Tom Brady on it is going to be up there. Most likely, probably Tampa Bay. But I do think, now don't get me wrong here, Carolina stays around. Carolina technically right now is 3-0, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it could be a race between Carolina and Tampa Bay. I think if Carolina plays great, I think that obviously it's a long way to go. I think they have a legitimate chance as well. I think it's going to float around between Tampa Bay, but honestly, I gotta think that Tampa Bay is still going to edge it out somewhere. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the Saints are relevant a little bit more now. I think they're just looking forward to building on to their future. But, typically I would have put the Saints out there. But what do we got for the AFC North?
The AFC North is tough. I'd say Cleveland, but I don't trust Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I think a lot of people, there's a consensus that Baker Mayfield's really good, and I think that he is. But as a former Charger fan, I dealt with a quarterback that the consensus was he was really good, but he also threw a lot of fourth quarter picks. I just don't trust Baker. And I know they have the best defense in the division. They have the best running game, the best offensive line in the NFL. But I would have to say I like Baltimore. I'm watching Baltimore on Monday night. Like, there's something so crazy about Lamar Jackson where it's like I wouldn't want him to be my quarterback, but I'm not going to bet against him because that guy's insane. Like he when he's passing on a fairly consistent basis, there's nothing you can do to stop him. All the respect to Greg Roman and that offense because I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins it.
I want to say so too. I think they're going to take care of it. Obviously NFC North. I mean, similar situation here.
Yeah.
You have a team with Aaron Rodgers on it. It's very difficult to beat. Obviously, we know what he did last week to Detroit. And it's funny as a lot of people thought, oh well, Detroit might have a legitimate chance, and I'm like, absolutely not. Like, that game was pretty much silenced after 3 quarters.
You don't believe in Jared Goff? Come on.
I will save that for a different show. I will say that no disrespects to him, though he was good. I mean, he was good. He did contribute to help out in the Super Bowl titles for our Super Bowl championship run that the Rams were attempting to accomplish. So, but I honestly think Green Bay. Green Bay is going to take care of business. I got Rodgers is taking care of just doing what he does. I mean, he's just, the numbers he still puts up. The numbers, I mean, we could sit here and talk about a show where, just between Rodgers and Brady, I mean, even both of those guys this year, I mean, they're both getting old up there, obviously Brady being the oldest one, and they're still playing like they're in their early 20s. I mean, literally, like it's absolutely incredible. It's for football fans. Obviously, it's been a joy for everybody to be seeing this because you're seeing star caliber content out there, and it's just great to see. Obviously, wishing everyone to stay healthy as well, no injuries as well. But who do you got for AFC East?
So the AFC East, it's pretty easy. I think Buffalo's going to win. Although, I would not be surprised if New England came out of nowhere and just won the division. I don't love Mac Jones, but Bill Belichick's the best coach in the NFL, and I think people kind of forgot that last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they at least made a wild card. But yeah, Buffalo's going to win.
Do you think New England made the right move though, by making their changes?
Oh yeah, well not because they're better, but because you have to think about it. Like, Bill Belichick's going to coach for another 10 years. True. I don't know if Tom Brady, maybe he plays until he's 60. That'd be crazy. But I think Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft wanted to keep him around, and it's like he wanted to be motivated, and you needed to sort of start over to get Bill Belichick motivated again.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's only worth it if they win 2 more rings, because Tom Brady is going to win 2 rings after. So they have to tie. It's like the Kobe and Shaq thing. Whoever has more rings in the end made the right choice.
Exactly. I mean, I think honestly, I think people were looking at what the Patriots did and said, "Oh, the Patriots are not going to be, they're going to be irrelevant. Like, they're going to have another terrible season again." I was like, and I said, "Look, their last season, obviously they were 7-9 last year." The winner, obviously Buffalo took care of business at 13-3 last year, but I don't think the Patriots are going to be that bad though. I think they just needed to have a better identity of what was going on, and just say, look, you're a team that wants to still be competitive, even though you lost your Tom Brady era. Obviously, it was time for him to move on, and he moved on and decided to go to the Heat and enjoy a little beach weather and Tampa Bay. So, that was his call. And, I think that either way, I think they're just going to keep building because they have a bright future as well. The drafts and the rights that they have, it didn't hurt them as well. So I think they got a bright future as well.
Look at it this way. Yeah. What happened to Denver after Peyton retired? Nothing.
No,
I
no.
don't like. No Broncos fan can convince me that Drew Lock 5 years after Peyton leaves is and no playoff appearances is a good thing. The fact that I think New England could make the playoffs this year, they're definitely going to make the playoffs next year. Like the more time you give Bill Belichick to develop, and I'm not saying he's going to win the Super Bowl, but
Yeah.
that's the thing about this breakup between Tom Brady and the Patriots that I don't think people are realizing. Like Bill Belichick's really good at coaching football. Like he's a really good general manager, and if at the end of the day, Tom Brady is really good at football, so they're both going to be successful. Like it's not an either or thing. Like they're both going to win. It just one's going to take a little bit longer than the other.
Yeah. Obviously there was speaking of, the games and stuff that was going on today. Obviously there was a game tonight. It was the typical Thursday night games. Panthers took care of business 24-9. So they're 3-0, and Texans are 1-2 on the road, or 1-2 to so far to start their season off. No surprises there. I just obviously felt like Panthers were the better team all the way tonight. They deserved it, and they pretty much took care of business out there as well. But obviously we have some great games coming up this weekend, which obviously you're going to hear from. We will be having shows as well, so stay tuned to that. But kind of I think we should give a little taste, Steven, of what's coming up. And obviously, the Tampa Bay and Los Angeles on Sunday night. It's the game of the week on Fox. Also, the Green Bay and the Niners game. I mean, like if you had a literally as the great Vince Scully says, is pull up a chair and enjoy the game. It is a perfect explanation of what's going to happen for these games today. Because how do you even leave your TV? Or if you're going to the game, congratulations. I mean, it's one of your best two games you're going to go to. But I just think these games right here, you got two great teams going at it, and people obviously I think it could very much be a Bucks and the Rams preview of the playoffs. Flat out. It could be. Now, don't get me wrong. And I know that Green Bay and the Niners obviously played in the championship game as well a few years ago. But I really legitimately think this could be a preview in it, because obviously I think both sides are motivated. I think Aaron Donald's motivated. I think that whole the Rams team is motivated as well. And also they're saying, look, the Buccaneers are technically the best defensive team in the league on paper. Doesn't mean they're going to always play that way every single game, every single quarter. It's 4 quarters game. You gotta play, and you gotta play to win the game. So I think, I think it's going to be a very close game. To give you that little sample of my take, I think it's going to be a very close game. I think even the Green Bay game as well, very close game. Someone's going to win it in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah, both the games are going to be close. But
yeah,
I got to be honest. The Rams have the best defense in football. Like I don't like it's not just a personnel thing. Like it's not the names of the players. When you have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, I think his name's Troy Hill is the other cornerback that you guys have.
Yeah.
Like it's one of these things where the offense is going to be on the field. The offense is so good. You're going to get these guys rested. Like that's the one issue that I had with the Rams last year is the offense couldn't stay on the field. Well, if the defense has to play constantly, Aaron Donald isn't going to be Aaron Donald, even though he looks like Superman and he plays like it too. Like you need to give him a rest. So I don't know. I think the Rams, I hope the Rams can pull out a win. I think that they're going to go far in the playoffs, but I'm really excited to see San Francisco at Green Bay. I think that's the game of the week. I know both are going to be close, but if there's a game that's going to go to overtime, it's going to be San Francisco and Green Bay, contingent that Green Bay plays defense this weekend. If they decide not to play defense, it'll turn out like the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. But if they play defense, it'll be close.
Yeah, I think honestly, you're obviously with the Rams, the last game they played, I was watching their game. Their defense in the red zone is great. You know, and I was watching that, and I was seeing someone else actually break down a lot of their film as well, which we're going to be breaking down some film as well. Stay tuned for that. But I think in the end of the day here, the Rams are going to be focused on, look, you have to play as great as defense as you played in the red zone. You
Yeah.
have to play it on the field no matter where you are on the field, because Tom Brady will make you pay. And obviously, you give him a lot of clock as well, and you're not managing that clock correctly, then he will really ice the game really quick. Obviously, we saw what a turnaround that was with the Cowboys. That was pretty. That was a game that I thought either way could have gone, but they gave him too much time and just They should have kept the ball in play, and you make a mistake against them, and he makes you pay. What can you say, Steven?
I honestly, I think the problem when you play Tampa Bay, it's so frustrating because Tom Brady is so consistent. Like he doesn't make a mistake. And I know he threw 2 picks that game. But arguably those weren't his fault. And like it's just maddening because I think anytime I've been watching Tom Brady my entire football watching life basically.
Yeah.
Like I've been rooting for him to make a mistake my entire life, and he won't make a timely mistake. So I think as a defense, it's frustrating because you just have to play that bend, not break defense and try to, hope. I think the biggest thing with the Rams this weekend is Aaron Donald. It's not going to be getting pressure on Tom Brady. He doesn't really get sacked. It's Aaron Donald in the run game. He is the best. Like he's the best defensive lineman in the league, whether you play him at tackle or if you play him, you play him at nose tackle or you play him at defensive end. Like if he shuts down the run game, forget about it. You can't be a one-facet offense, even if you're Tom Brady. Like if you pass every down, it's too predictable.
All that's gonna be fun. I mean, we're in for some good games this weekend. And I think honestly, you're gonna see more in depth coverage as well for the games on Sunday. The Green Bay and the Niners game. We'll get more involved with both sides of the story, kind of review some plays, and talk more about it as well. But it could be a battle it could be honestly a playoff battle right here. There's playoff battles for both sides. Be fair as well. Both sides have a chance. One of someone's gonna play each other, and that's what football is all about here. I think that's what makes the game great. I think that's what everyone looks forward to, and that's why. Look, we're only at week 3. We're gonna be at week 3, and we still got plenty more action to go.
Oh yeah, it's just getting started. I think this is the best part of the season because it's like still anybody's shot. So I'm excited. There can be a lot of competitive games, and I'd say my favorite thing about this weekend, we get to see a young quarterback start. Justin Fields is getting his first start for the Bears.
Yes.
I'm super psyched about that. Now they are playing Cleveland, so it's kind of crazy because he has to go up against that defense. I hope he doesn't get injured, and I hope that he has a great game because he's gonna be a good quarterback in the future.
I think it's gonna if he could play great, stay healthy, go out there, get their offense going. I mean, they literally locked this kid up right here, and he could very much be a Brady in the future if he continues to play the way he's gonna play.
Yeah, big time.
So that's gonna do it for us for our special edition show. Baseball and football. We love them both. Why not combine them together? So stay tuned tomorrow. We got around the MLB. It happens. We love basketball's coming around the corner too.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that as well. For Steven and myself, I'm Aaron. Guys, thanks for watching the Ultimate Sports Show. We'll talk to you tomorrow.